We think about the money that is spent in college football, and I don't know if any of us would have predicted that Texas Tech would have a reported $55 million roster this year. But that's absurd, right? Like if I'd have told you that was going to be Ohio State or Phil Knight finally got to a point where he was like, screw it, we're winning, or I don't know, tech billionaires in different areas of the country, maybe you believe it. Texas Tech, potentially, right? Like this is all alleged, but On3 says that they're likely to have a $55 million roster. I guess the best place to start is, do you buy it? Do you believe that?
You know, On3 is one of those sites that they're not afraid to be kind of poppy and edgy, and they've got plenty of editorializers who mention things in college football that aren't exactly fact. They are opinion. This is fact. Brandon Marcello of CBS Sports has also picked it up. Their sources telling them the same thing. And so the initial shock of, okay, On3 is telling the world that Texas Tech is at $55 million. What you need to understand is I'm not knocking On3. JD Piquel is one of my great friends who I've worked with in the industry for multiple years. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying they're very good at valuations. On3 will tell you that Shedeur Sanders deserves $5 million. Does it mean he's making that? We don't know. $3 million for Livy Dunn. Is she making that? We don't know. It's their valuation algorithm. This isn't an algorithm. This is a hard number. Brandon Marcello, again, as I just mentioned, says it's believed Texas Tech will pay its players $55 million. Now, that's revenue sharing plus NIL. So 20 and a half of that is coming through revenue sharing, which it takes a village for you to buy into that in full terms. But then the other $35-ish million will be divvied out via NIL among its programs this year, making the Red Raiders, he says, perhaps the highest paying college athletics program in the country. Here's the deal, TJ. I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan right now, on the road with the Savannah Bananas and the Party Animals. If I walk out of this hotel room right now and I start digging a hole into the ground and say, this 1 foot by 1 foot hole is my hole, I own it. And then black liquid gold starts coming out of that thing, I too could probably give my favorite university $55 million. That's what this is. Texas Tech is utilizing the resources, the like natural resources around the university and in West Texas to fund this. Their NIL fund is by and large coming from oil magnates, and that's not a bad thing. Florida State, you're a Florida State guy, went to Saudi Arabia to their oil magnates. Texas Tech went to their backyard and just dug up some of that stuff, sold it up for a lot, and now their donors want to see Texas Tech be great. The best part about this for Texas Tech, I talked to a coach at the Power 4 level recently in a non-revenue sport who said the best thing a university could do is, instead of giving $10 million to men's basketball, give $9 million to men's basketball and then $1 million to softball, or give $25 million to football, and instead of 30, you take that other $5 million and you give it to baseball. And with $5 million, you can build a national championship roster, professional roster immediately in any non-revenue sport. Now, non-revenue sports are everything outside of men's basketball and football. If you do that, instead of risking everything and putting it all to basketball and football and hoping it works out, hoping they win, and the second they don't, it's all a wash and you've lost millions of dollars in basically a failed marketing attempt. You know, athletics is the gateway to most universities. When you lose, your marketing loses. Instead of doing that, Texas Tech, they bought a softball player for $1 million, and guess who is the talk of the town in NIL right now? It's Texas Tech. Not because they give $1 million to their backup wide receiver, who is a third or fourth rounder. No, to a softball player who took the world by storm. What Tech is doing is genius. They say, we're going to give $55 million, but it's not all football. It's not all basketball. It's softball. It's tennis. It's golf. It's whatever we want it to be, because instead of giving the entire deal to the guys out there on the gridiron, we understand they are very valuable. But the second we invest more than anybody else in the non-revenue Olympic sports, the second our brand gets bigger there. Kennedy being in the circle this year for them in softball was a marketing ploy. They spent $1 million on her to play there, and $1 million was recouped in marketing alone. ESPN, CBS, everybody is posting about it. That's where that money went, to wins, and wins equate to marketing. Texas Tech, they're a genius in the NIL game right now.
as somebody who watched her pitch 3 times, has watched her pitch 3 times in her career, once down in Clearwater and then twice in Tallahassee in the Super Regional where she was absolutely electric, and then watched Kennedy through the Women's College World Series. Yeah. Literally, had she pitched out on an intentional walk, I mean, they win the Women's College World Series by winning game 1 and game 2 and not going to that game 3 where she was just exhausted. So you'd say that was a good return on investment. Football, though, is that, I mean, that's a whole different animal, right? Where one player cannot carry you through an entire, not only season, but then postseason. And not nothing against any of the rest of Texas Tech's softball players, which they've got a really good team. And I like Jared Glasgow a lot, but she carried them. Let's be honest. I think they ended up scoring like 3 or 4 unearned runs in games in a row. Like they were winning games 1-0, 2-1. Like they were winning in some wild ways because she just shut things down. Football's very different, and you've got to have, I'd say, more camaraderie, more teamwork, more of a gelling together. And they've built this a lot through the portal. They've got a lot of guys coming back. What's the return on investment, though? Like, well, what has to be the expectation when you're spending maybe the most in college football, but if not, certainly top 5, top 10-ish? I mean, my thought would be, as a complete outsider, the expectation has to be to get to the playoff and win a game, at least in the playoff. Like, this can't be we won the Big 12. We're happy to be here. It's got to be you. You've got to actually win something when you get there. And anything short of winning the Big 12 and going to the college football playoff, to me, with spending that much money, feels like a failure.
Well, Ryan Day was. They told Ryan Day, here is an NFL roster, go win with it. We don't care how good of a football coach you are. This is the keys to a Miata when everybody else is driving a Ford. They're not the Jeep is the Grand Cherokee. That's what this is. Hey, Joey McGuire, we will buy you the equivalent of an NFL roster, especially for a Big 12 standard. Go win the Big 12 conference. If you don't, what is going to happen is that money won't go away. Donors won't stop giving. In college athletics, you donate toward a brand. You donate toward a logo. There's a reason that the WNBA doesn't get a ton of traction. There isn't necessarily a men's program in the same city tied to the same team that can be rooted for, or even a softball program in the same city, the same team that can be rooted for, men or women. In college athletics, there is. I can root for the men's tennis team when they're in the national championship the same way I can root for the football team in week 3. At Texas Tech, if football does not win now, that money won't go away. It will just go away from football. They will be a university like a Duke, like a Kansas, that in essence accepts for decades on end, football isn't our bell cow. Something else is. We are going to put more resources because, again, TJ, if you put $50 million into football and football sucks, you just wasted $50 million in football. If you put $50 million into men's basketball, I can guarantee you a national championship. I can effectively guarantee you long-term payoff. So you will start to rework where your revenue goes and rework where your money goes to the smaller sports than the gridiron so that you can have success and have your fan base root for at least something. And that's why Joey McGuire, who's a good football coach, who has won 8 or 9 games at Texas Tech and been steady, that's why he's in win now mode. His job is on the line because of the blank check that's been handed to him.
We've talked a little bit about Texas Tech and what our thoughts are on them, but here in the middle of June, what are your personal, as somebody who covers the Big 12 daily over at Locked On Big 12, when you look at their roster, and I know a lot of it's an unknown with the guys they brought in, and you've got to see how some of that works together. Is your expectation for them, do you have them in the Big 12 championship game with a chance to go to the CFP, or maybe an at-large bid even if they're not successful in that game? Or what are your thoughts on where they likely end up this year?
Yeah, TJ, right now, a couple weeks ago, I would have told you Texas Tech and BYU are at the top of the Big 12 for me. Even after Jake Retzlaff is gone, I don't think that was the nucleus of how good BYU is going to be. I still have the Cougars and the Red Raiders meeting in Arlington this year. It's Big 12 title game or bust for Joey McGuire.